Good afternoon, everyone. This is Miss Ariola, and this afternoon we're going to discuss the sampling procedures, specifically for a qualitative research. So let's not forget, no, a sample is a smaller set of cases a researcher selects from a large group and generalizes the population. So, ito yung ginagamit ni researcher, kumukuha siya ng maliit na kinatawan ng isang malaking grupo or ng isang buong populasyon upang mapag-aralan niya, no? So, this is to get a representative sample or a sample collection of a units or cases from a larger collection or population. Ngunit, the very requirement of this is that this sample should produce accurate generalizations about a larger group. Now, there are three things na napaka-importante when we choose sampling procedures. A researcher should be clear about these three things. Ano-ano yun? How much data he or she needs, no? Dapat malinaw kung gaano karaming data ang kailangan niya. Second, it should be clear of how he or she will select the sample. Dapat malinaw kung paano niya pipiliin ang mga sample. And third, it should be clear if how he or she will get the participants. No? Dapat malinaw kung paano siya kukuha ng mga kalahok sa magiging research niya. Mga experts, no? Dapat daw ang mga researcher, they need a sample that is appropriate to the research question. When we say appropriate, dapat akma. Dapat it coincides with the kind of research questions you have. The theoretical aims of the study, research design, that provides an adequate amount of data. Dapat the research procedure or the sampling procedure will match the kind of theoretical aims of the study, research design, and it will provide the adequate amount of data for the research to be able to fully analyze the topic, number one, and secondly, to be able to answer the research question. Yun yung dalawang bagay na napaka-importante. Dapat yung gagamitin nating sampling procedure ay makakapagbigay sa atin ng adequate amount of data para ma-analyze natin ang topic ng research at masagot natin ang ating mga research questions. So when you talk about sampling, again, it is an act or a process of selecting predetermined items. It could be individuals, it could be organization, and etc. That is from a large population for measurement or of analysis. So the sample should be representative of the population to ensure that we can generalize the findings from the research sample to the populations. Now, when we talk about sample, it is a subset selected elements. So the sampling is the procedure, the sample is the elements of a population that is used to represent the entire population. While doing a research is often impractical to survey every member of a population because of lack of time, money, and above all, due to large population. Yun yung mga reason kung bakit tayo gumagawa ng sampling or gumagamit ng sampling procedure. It could be lack of time, lack of money, and especially above all, dahil sa due to large of population. Pwedeng yung gusto mong pag-aralan is sobrang ang daming tao na nakatira dun. No? So you are going to use now sampling because you want to maximize or you want to minimize the number of samples that you're going to study. When we talk about sampling procedures, no? Ito, from the population, yung kukunin sample out of that population. So this one is a total population, let's say, when you want about the people in one city. So you are not going to a sample of the people living in Zamboanga City. Sampling procedure. Okay, so there are two types of sampling procedure. Number one is the non-probability sampling, and number two is the probability sampling. So, non-probability sampling is defined as a sampling technique in which the researcher selects samples based on the subjective judgments of the researcher rather than random selection. Ano ibig sabihin nito? Sa non-probability sampling, ang pumipili ng magiging samples is si researcher. And then it is a less stringent method. Bakit? Because this sampling method depends heavily on the expertise of the researchers. No? Nakadepende kung gaano kagaling si researcher. Etong klaseng procedure. Dapat, no, pag gagamitin ito, dapat sigurado na si researcher is very well equipped of the knowledge of the kind of research that he or she is going to conduct. It is carried out by observation, and researchers use it widely for a qualitative research. Now, ang probability sampling naman, it is a sampling which is it is characterized as a sampling technique wherein the researcher uses a method based on probability theory to select samples from a large population. So, hindi si research ang pumipili. Kung hindi, gagamit siya ng probability theory. Ano nga ba ito? It is when a participant to be considered as a probability sample, he or she must be selected using a random selection. So, ang tawag dyan is probability sampling. Ang gagamitin mo dyan is random selection. No? Sampling probability gives you the best chance, sabi nila. It gives you the best chance of creating a sample that is truly representative of the population. No? Dahil random siya, sabi nila, dahil random ang selection mo, it gives you what? It gives you the best chance of creating a sample that is truly representative. No? Dahil hindi ikaw yung pumili at ang nakapili mong samples ay based on the random sampling, sabi nila, there is a bigger chance that yung mga mapipili mong samples or yung mga mapipili mong representative is sila talaga ang nagre-represent ng population na yon. Dahil hindi mo naman pinili yon on your own. No? Using probability sampling to determine sample sizes means you can use statistically methods such as confidence intervals and error margins to verify the results on. If you are going to, especially in a quantitative research, no, they are really using this kind of sampling procedures. So, dito, nami-measure din yung error margins. Ibig sabihin, like example, there are 100 people living in Zamboanga City and you want to conduct a research here, you will use ang tawag dyan, random sampling or probability sampling. Hindi ikaw ang magde-decide. Kung hindi, random lang ang pipiliin mo. Let's say you need 10 respondents for your research, no? So, randomly, you will choose that. You will not choose it, but you will use a random theory that will select kung sino-sino ang magiging representative or kung sino-sino ang magiging respondents mo for this certain research or for this certain research na gusto mong gawin. Now, if I'm going to ask you which sampling methodology, technique, or procedure you are going to use or do you think is best to use when conducting a qualitative research, what will be your answer? Your answer should be depending on what is what. It should be what is adequate. Ibig sabihin kung ano yung akma sa klase ng research na gusto nyong gawin. So that there should not be a best fit for any type of research. Depende siya sa klase ng research na gagawin nyo. So walang best type of sampling procedure sa qualitative. Pwede siyang maging non-probability, pwede din siyang probability, or pwede siyang both. Basta akma siya sa klase ng research na gagawin ninyo. Non-probability sampling. So, kailan natin gagamitin ang non-probability sampling? sampling. We use this type of sampling to indicate if a particular trait or characteristics exist in a population. Ginagamit natin to kung kailangan natin malaman if ang isang particular trait or ang isang characteristics ay nag-e-exist sa isang grupo ng tao or isang grupo na or isang population. We use probability sampling also when researchers widely use this non-probability sampling method when they aim to conducting qualitative research, pilot studies, or exploratory research. No? Kung gusto nilang i-test kung ang isang project or isang programa ay maganda or pwedeng i-launch, no? Bago nila i-launch ang isang programa, ipapilot testing muna nila ito. So, gagamit sila ng non-probability samplings. Researchers use it when they have limited time to conduct research or have budget constraints. No, ginagamit din daw ito pag kulang sa budget ang isang research or kulang na sa oras. We also use non-probability sampling kung si researcher kailangang mag-observe whether a particular issue needs an in-depth analysis or when he applies this method. No? And lastly, we use non-probability sampling when the researcher do not intend to generate results that will generalize the entire population. Kung ayaw niya namang ayaw niya naman talagang i-describe yung buong population na yun, gusto niya lang malaman talaga at least samples or part of that population, no? Gumagamit siya ng non-probability sampling. Non-probability sampling. So, one type of non-probability sampling is what we call the convenience sampling. So, convenience sampling, as the name implies, it is when we take a sample from somewhere suitable for you. No? It is the example, you like the mall, your high school, or your church. So, sometimes, ang tawag din dito sa convenience sampling is accidental sampling. No? Another term for convenience sampling is accidental sampling or opportunity sampling or grab sampling. So, convenience sampling is characterized as a method adopted by researchers where they gather market research data from a pool of respondents that is conveniently available. So, it is a sampling method most widely used as it is remarkably fast, uncomplicated, and economical. Usually, itong gusto ng mga researcher dahil ito daw yung pinakamabilis, ito yung pinaka-simple at napaka-budget-wise, no? Budget-friendly. Members are readily available in many cases for being part of the survey. Ito yung convenience sampling. Now, the next probability sampling is what we call the purposive or the judgmental sampling. It is where the researcher selects a sample based on population knowledge and the study itself. Participants to the study are selected based on the purpose of the study. So, it is a purposive dahil pinipili mo ang sinong magiging sample or ang sinong magiging respondents ng research. Kailangan kasi siniguro mo na akma siya sa magiging klase ng research na ikakandak mo. This sampling method requires researcher to have a prior knowledge of the purpose of their studies and also so that eligible participants can be selected and approached. Hindi pwedeng ito dito sa purposive judgmental, wala kang enough or adequate knowledge about your research. Dahil hindi mo masisigurado na yung pipiliin mong research, samples na yun ay eligible participants or that should be selected and approached. So usually researchers are purposeful sampling when they want to access a specific subset of people, as all study participants are chosen because they fit in a particular profile. No? Kasi usually in a purposive judgmental sampling, meron ka talagang malinaw na profile kung anong klase ng respondents or anong klase ng sample ang kailangan mo on your research. Of non-probability sampling is what we call the quota sampling. It is where the groups, example, men or women, in the sample are proportional to the groups in the population. No? Ito, ibig sabihin, it is when the researchers select those individuals according to specific characteristics or qualities. They decide and create quota so that data collection can be of use market research samples. These samples can be generalized to the population at large, and the final subset will be decided only according to the knowledge of the population of the interviewer or the researcher. Kaya siya sinasabing quota. If you see in the picture, no? Ibig sabihin, ang pinipili nila is ilang, no? Dapat proportion siya. Dapat proportion yung magiging number of samples mo sa population na meron ang isang area of study or yung gusto mong yung lugar na gusto mong snowball sampling. So sa snowball sampling naman, it is where the research participants recruit other members for the study. If you take a look at the picture, ito researcher, then ito yung magiging respondents niya, ang magre-recruit ng additional respondents. Bakit? This method is particularly useful when participants might be hard to find. Pag mahirap yung klase ng participants na kailangan, pwede mong gamitin ang bulk sampling. Dahil ang gagawa ng paghanap ng respondents ay yung mismong respondents din. This is a sampling technique that provides references to established subjects to obtain samples needed for a research study. For example, kailangan mo mag-research about like a customer satisfaction ng isang, let's say, elite country club members, no? Of course, syempre yung mga club members, like let's say na mga golf club members, mahirap hanapin yan, mga PC yan, mga mayayaman, business owners. So yung gagawin mo, you have to at least look for 2 of those golfers on that country club who are country club members, and then sila mismo ang maghahanap din ng magiging respondents mo. So ang mangyayari is you will find it incredibly difficult to collect primary data sources unless merong isang club member who will decide to have a direct conversation with you and shares the contact details of the other club members. Siya mismo ang naghahanap ng alam niyang members din ng club or ng country club members din ng golf na yon. No? So ang tawag sa procedure na yan ay snowball sampling. Probability sampling. So sa probability sampling, ang unang example, by the way, when you talk about probability sampling, it is an inherently random way of choosing items. Ibig sabihin, ang pagpili ng magiging respondents mo ay random, no? Walang pumili. Walang nakapag-decide about it. You are using randomizer tools para malaman kung sino ang magiging respondents mo. And this could involve assigning numbers to all items and then choosing random numbers using a random number generator. Like for example, you need to study the the DOMRAC students, grade 12 DOMRAC students of Baliwasan Senior High School, Sanalong. Now, there are 60. Kailangan mo lang ng 10. Ang gagawin mo is you will assign numbers for each students, and then you will use a random number generator. Kung sino ang lalabas ng mga numbers, yung 10 numbers na lalabas, yun ang magiging respondents mo or yun ang gagamitin mo as sample. So another example of this method is classical ball and earn experiments. Assuming that the balls are mixed enough, parang draw lots, alam mo yun, yung ginagamit nila sa lotto, Alam niyo yun? Diba? Sa lotto draw para malaman kung ano yung mga numbers. Parang meron silang parang balls that are equally heavy, equal size, and assigned with numbers in each balls Parang yun. Those are also example of a randomizer technique, no? So, an example for random type of random sampling is what we call the simple random sampling. Yun na nga, yung binanggit ko. You can use a random number generator or pwedeng gumawa kayo na you choose random numbers, you choose random numbers. Ang gagawin mo is you assign numbers per each respondents or per each per samples, and then you will randomly choose, no? Kung ilang samples ang kailangan mo, yun lang ang kailangan mong i-draw, no? I-draw. So you don't have any considerations about this as long as example kailangan mo is student ng DOMRAC sa BSHS, so kasali na siya sa pwedeng ma-draw or pwedeng piliin randomly. So, ang advantage ng simple random sampling is it creates samples that are highly representative of the population. Ang disadvantage naman is it is tedious and time consuming, no? Let's say it is a long process. Bakit? You are especially pag yung magiging respondents mo is of large samples, no? Kailangan mo kasi, like example, ang gusto mong study is BSHS students. So, kailangan mong bigyan ng numbers lahat ng BSHS students, and then that's the time that you will draw lots. Parang mahaba siyang procedure. So, yun. Stratified random sampling. Now, when you talk about stratified random sampling, it involves the division of subjects into groups which are mutually exclusive. And then, the use of basic random sampling is to pick group members. So, bakit siya tawag is stratified? Dahil, in random selection of, because ang ginagamit dito sa stratified random sampling is gumagawa ka ng division of subjects and ginagawa mo sila into a group, no? Example, you are going to randomly select motorcycle students from various ethnic groups to be included in a representative sample. So, ang advantage dito is, sa stratified random sampling, nakaka-create siya ng strata or layers that are highly representative of a strata or layers in the population. No? Ang disadvantage naman, pareho siya sa simple random sampling. Tedious and time-consuming, especially when creating larger samples. So again, yung pinagkaiba lang ng simple random and stratified random, sa stratified random, gumagamit ka ng division of subjects into group. Ginugroup mo muna sila bago ka pipili in each group. Sa simple random sampling, buong population, and then pipili ka na agad randomly ng ilan yung kailangan mo. Right? The next one will be the cluster random sampling. So in a way, ang cluster random sampling is basically when you randomly select participants from a list that is too large for simple random sampling. No? For example, if you were to pick 1,000 participants from the entire US population, it's probably difficult to obtain a full list of all. So ang gagawin mo, the researcher also randomly select areas. Pipili ka na lang ng cities or countries randomly from within US population. And then, gagamit ka ng random generator to randomly select 30 secondary high school with senior high school department, from which it will invite the students with motorcycle to comprise the study sample. So, yun ang example ng cluster random sampling. Gagawa ka ng mas konting list. Like example, sa stratified random sampling, lahat ng grupo, pipili ka ng ilan members of each group randomly. But in cluster random sampling, hindi lahat ng grupo ang gagamitin mo in a certain population. You will select a list of those groups, and then that's the time that you are going to choose randomly. Now, in a systematic sampling means that you have to choose every n participants from a complete list. For example, you could choose every 10th person listed. Example, no? Kailangan mo ng there are at least 5,000 senior high school students with motorcycle in Zamboanga City. Kailangan mo lang ng at least 200, no? Ang gagawin mo is you are going to select every 25th student. May list ka na ng 5,000 senior high school student na may motorcycle, no? You want to study that kind of, your research is about yung mga estudyante sa senior high school na may motorcycle. Now, you already have the list. There are at least 5,000 senior high school students. So, since kailangan mo lang ng, let's say, 20 or 200 respondents, ang gagamitin mo is the systematic sampling. Gagawin mo, out of that list, hahanapin mo in every 25, sino yung student na yun ang magiging sample. Okay, 25. And then 50. Sinong ika-50 sa list? Siya ang magiging respondent. Sinong ika-75? Siya ang magiging respondent. Ang tawag dyan is systematic sampling. Now, ang advantage ng systematic sampling is, of course, it creates samples that are highly representative of the population without the need for a random number generator. Hindi mo na kailangan ng number generator, hindi mo na kailangan i-assign yung bawat estudyante or sample na yan. Dahil you are doing the list, ang gagamitin mo lang yung list mismo, no? And then, ang disadvantage naman ng systematic sampling is that, ito, ang magiging disadvantage na is that systematic sampling tends to what? Not as random as simple random sampling. Hindi siya ganun ka-random kasi pwedeng yung list mo is by school, no? So parang hindi na siya mag-meet sa idea of making a research that is random. So by the way, ang disadvantage naman ng isang cluster probability sampling is that it might not work well if unit members are not homogeneous or if they are different from each other. But the advantage is that it's convenience and it's right. So thank you so much for your time, guys. I think that's pretty much it. Thank you so much. As for your modules, please continue on working on your modules, and I will collect your notebooks as soon as we meet face to face. But for the meantime, please don't forget to upload photos of your outputs on Google Classroom if possible, and also take out photos of you while you are working on your module. Please stay safe, everyone, and have a great day.